Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon were two Dutch students who went to Panama in 2014. Kris had graduated in cultural social education and Lisanne in applied psychology. They had saved money for 6 months and planned a 6-week vacation in Panama. They wanted to learn Spanish and volunteer to help the local people, especially children. This trip would also be a graduation present for Lisanne. Kris and Lisanne arrived in Panama on March 15, 2014. After traveling around the country for 2 weeks, they arrived in Boquete, Chiriquí on March 29. Here they would live with a local family and volunteer with children for a month. On the morning of April 1, around 11 a.m., they went hiking in the cloudy forests around the Baru volcano. They followed a trail called El Pianista to an area close to Boquete. According to some sources, they took with them a dog belonging to the owners of a restaurant called El Pianista. 2. But this has not been confirmed. The women wrote on Facebook that they would walk around Boquete and were seen having breakfast with 2 young Dutch men before setting off. Kris and Lisanne were supposed to return for dinner that day, but they did not show up. The family started looking for them, but could not reach their phones. The next day, local police and guides entered the jungle to search for the women. In addition, family and friends of the women arrived in Panama and joined the search. On April 10th, Kris's cell phone tried to call the 112 emergency service number, but received no signal. This was the first time the phone was turned on and the last time it was turned off. Lisanne's phone, on the other hand, repeatedly tried to call 112 and 911 between April 1 and 6, but was never connected. On April 5th, the phone's battery died, and on April 6th, it turned on again, but turned off after only a few seconds. This was the phone's last activity. On April 14th, the women's backpacks were found on a riverbank by a local woman. The backpacks contained 2 cell phones, a camera, 2 sunglasses, $83 in cash, and Lisanne's passport. The backpacks and their contents appeared dry and clean. When the police looked through the pictures on the camera, they found several photos taken on the day the women started the march. In these photos, the women were smiling and looked happy. However, the last 90 photos in the camera were taken on the night of April 8th and were very dark and strange. They showed a skull, a stick, a mirror, a rock, a bridge, a plastic bag, a candy wrapper, and flashlit forest scenes in the dark. It was not known what these photographs meant or why they were taken. Some thought the women were taking pictures to call for help or to leave a trace. Others claimed that the photos had been taken or altered by someone else. On June 29th, Lisanne's left ankle bones were found in a shoe. The shoe was about 8 km away from where the backpacks were found. On July 1st, Kris's pelvic bone was found. On July 3rd, Lisanne's right ankle bones were found in a sock. Later, other bone fragments, thought to belong to the women, were found. However, most of the bones were missing, and there were no traces of flesh, blood, or skin. The exact cause of the women's deaths has not been determined. Dutch authorities, working with forensic and search and rescue experts, hypothesized that the women may have fallen off a cliff after they became lost. According to this hypothesis, after losing their bearings, the women tried to make their way along the river in the dark and rain. However, not realizing that they were approaching a cliff at the edge of the river, they slipped on the slippery ground and fell. This caused the women to be injured or killed. However, this hypothesis was contradicted by the condition of the women's bodies, the discovery of their backpacks, and the mysterious photographs on the camera. Some suggested that the women were victims of a crime or had been kidnapped. Others suggested that the women were separated or abandoned each other as they struggled to survive. The disappearance and death of Kris and Lisanne has given rise to many speculations and theories. However, no theory has been able to provide conclusive evidence. The Panamanian police were criticized for their poor handling of the case and for not conducting an adequate investigation afterwards. In 2017, a new investigation into the case was launched, revealing the mistakes of the initial investigation and a possible link to other murders in the area. The disappearance and death of Kris and Lisanne remains an unsolved mystery.